What is up, everybody? Heads Up Play, episode number 10. We are here. I know it's been a while. It feels like forever to me because it's been a week since we've recorded, and it's been a long week for me. As you see, I am in a different location than my normal place. That is kind of why we did not have an episode for you on Friday. But here we are. I got sent up to Detroit, Michigan, so I am recording out of a hotel. Who knows how long I'll be up here, but I work a job where I get sent somewhere for periods of time, and then I go home for a period of time. I'm somewhere.
Sam is a secret scout for the Michigan football program.
And I'm technically Alabama. We already know we're going to make the playoffs, so I'm just kind of here checking out Michigan, seeing how they're doing. They also play Ohio State, so that knocks out two birds with one stone. So I'm going to report to the Coach Saban here after practice tomorrow.
John, how you doing, man?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good.
I heard you went to a game this weekend, continuing this streak of Heads Up Play attending a football game. Went to the Alabama-Chattanooga game. Did you have fun? I heard your sister killed it, rocked it.
Yeah, no, it was really cool to see her do her thing. We got to go to the elephant stomp before. That was pretty neat. Watch everybody get hyped, but it's a nice stadium, man. I was planning on coming on here and talking a whole bunch of trash, but I can't do it. It's nice.
How did it feel being an Alabama fan for about 4 hours?
I wasn't an Alabama fan.
So you were just taking in the experience, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
you
not
had some
cheering
good
for it
seats.
all.
You did have some good
seats. Were great. Seats were good, man. It was a good time.
And for the viewers that don't know this, John's little sister is in the $1 Million Band. So technically, by default, we have a member of, or a fan of Heads Up Play in the $1 Million Band by default.
Yeah, that's a subscriber too.
Well, Cowboy, how have you been this past week? I mean, just as busy for you, I feel like.
Yeah, I drove a lot this weekend for Thanksgiving, of course, and I went up to the home of the Warring Lions of UNA in Florence, Alabama, and I went back to my stomping grounds in Jasper. It was a fun trip, good time, saw family and all that. Watched some college football. Watched a little bit of college basketball, and let's get on some college football while we're on it, guys. We got one more week. Is it kind of crazy to think like this is the last week of like regular season college football?
It's gone by so fast. This season, and I really don't know why it feels that way. I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older and years go by shorter every year. I don't know, but this season in particular, I mean, looking back to when we went to Atlanta for your bachelor trip and watched an Alabama-Texas game. That was week 2, and that feels like just a few weeks ago.
You're right, 100%. It's insane.
I think it's because we especially you and me, Sam, we've been doing a whole bunch of stuff this season. Like you went to a Bama game, you went to a Florida game, I went to a Bama game, going to some South games. John, you've been doing wedding stuff. I mean,
I haven't been home on a weekend in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, you might be right.
And I won't be home this weekend. I'm going. Heads Up Plays actually going mobile to the NFL this weekend.
Oh, is that this weekend?
That's this weekend. We're going mobile to the NFL. I'm going to interview some fans.
Who are you pulling for?
The Falcons, baby. I'm a Dirty Birds. Right. Dirty Birds. Me and Hannah going to be in their thing, deep lit.
Wear your Falcons jersey and your Pelicans hat.
No, I'm becoming a Hawks fan.
Are you?
Yeah,
he just got to go all ATL at this point.
I'm going all ATL. I've already kind of went full deep in the Falcons. I got Hannah the other day at Plato's Closet. It was a alternate Nike black Atlanta Falcons Julio Jones jersey for the total of $20.
Did y'all see the video I sent y'all?
I mean, you sent a lot. So
my little sister, when she said she didn't know who Julio Jones was.
Oh yes.
I was so disappointed.
I was a little cringed. I must say, but I mean, she's what? how old is she? 20, 21 maybe?
I think,
20?
yeah, something like
I mean,
that.
it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, something like
I mean, it
that.
doesn't surprise me. I mean,
It's the
Julio, I
new,
mean,
it's the new age
he's
of
old, yeah.
Alabama fans.
And she
Well,
didn't care about football until she started doing band in high school. So,
unlike us, we care about it here at Heads Up
Yeah.
Play. We
Well,
live and
to
breathe.
get into it, do we want to start off with the games? I guess we probably should. That's probably
Let's start
most
off
people's
with the game.
minds.
Can we get it out of the way? I know it's bottom
Yeah,
of the
we
list, but can
probably should get it out of the way. Our resident Auburn fan, J Dub,
Well,
had
how
to
you
go
feeling?
through.
Give us your thoughts. And then we'll give you our
All right.
thoughts of Alabama fans outside looking in.
I did not get to watch the game live. I was driving back from Tuscaloosa, and the roads in between there's no cell service.
It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah. So I didn't get to watch it, but I was kind of keeping up with it on ESPN. I don't know if I feel as bad about this as most Auburn fans do. It is embarrassing, but if you look at the records, it kind of makes sense. I mean, that was an 8-3 team coming in.
That was a good New Mexico State team. Like, y'all should not.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you should be upset.
Yeah,
but
it's,
like,
it's
give
New
us-
Mexico State,
Yeah.
yes, but they're 8-3. We got a new coach, and to be honest with you, Sam said this yesterday. In a way, it kind of helps us because we're going to be playing with an even bigger chip on our shoulder because we literally do not have anything to lose anymore.
I told you, man, I've been hearing Jimbo Fisher, not Jimbo, Hugh Freeze, all he's been focusing all year is, can I beat Bama? I need to beat Bama that first year. And I'm going to tell you, and when we get into it later, I'll explain, but I think Hugh Freeze might have dug himself a little hole because if he gets blown out by Bama next week, I'm not going to say he's going to get fired first year. I'm not saying that. He won't get fired year 2 or year 3, but it ain't a great start. It is not a good start if that happens.
Look, I definitely see where you can pull some positives out of it for sure. You know, you're going into the Iron Bowl. If you win the Iron Bowl, that loss is erased. It doesn't matter, right? Records mean nothing in the Iron Bowl, especially at Jordan Hare.
Yeah.
But I mean, you really, and I know you can kind of compare it. Nick Saban lost to La Monroe same week. I think Alabama had the same record also as Auburn going into that game as well. I was at that game back when I was probably 11 years old. Yes, horrifying watching that.
This is kind of side note. Have you ever seen that? He's like a construction owner. His name's Justin Waller or something like that. He's like real big on like Instagram and YouTube or something. Anyways, he played on that Louisiana Tech.
I was like the alpha guy. Like it tries to. Is he like a?
Yeah. He tries to like.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
I was waiting to see.
He was a quarterback.
I was waiting to see you go with it.
But here's the thing: you are supposed to win that game. You don't have to destroy them. You're supposed to win that game. Auburn paid almost $2 million for them to come into y'all's house and spank you. That wasn't just a loss. That was a beatdown.
Lost by 20 points. Lost by 21.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns. It was bad.
Did y'all watch the game? Did y'all get to watch it?
I watched near the end of it. I'll be honest. I would not have watched any of it if I had not seen how bad y'all were struggling.
It's something we've known about Auburn all year. Once you put
the quarterback.
No, it wasn't quarterback. I blame the whole offense. Once you put a lot of points up on Auburn, they're not coming back. That offense is not built for that. And as a Bama fan, that's something good to see because if we can put up 20 on them and it's 21-0, I just don't see Auburn coming back. They couldn't get nothing going.
It was New Mexico State was just the better football team. It doesn't even matter about who outplayed one another. New Mexico State was just better.
I didn't even
realize
realize
they got out-coached too. I heard that they out-coached them.
100%. Jerry Kill, head coach. He is a good coach.
He was at Minnesota forever, and he started
built Minnesota up.
He had bad. He had bad I might be wrong. Don't quote me. He had like really bad seizures, so like he had to stop for the longest.
This was when your biggest rusher, your guy with the highest rushing yards in the game is Peyton Thorne against New Mexico State. It's not going to end well. So yeah, not a great performance by Auburn whatsoever.
Yeah, but
I mean, there's just not much more you can say about it. Really, it was just poor performance. Move on to the next one. This is going to be something we still talk about Alabama losing at La Monroe 15 years later. This is going to be something that's talked about 15 years down the line. It's just about what do you do after it.
Auburn plays New Mexico State all the time.
Yeah, that does seem like a common opponent.
Yeah, I've seen them. We played them in 2019. I think we played them in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and then I think I've been to a New Mexico State Auburn game when I was like 8 years old or something.
Hugh Freeze also played against New Mexico State or coached against them while at Liberty. Had a home-and-home series with them. I think he won both of those games.
I never realized they were in Conference USA. I never knew that.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's a good New Mexico State team. I think within the whole FBS, they're actually ranked – prior to the game, they're actually ranked a little bit higher than Auburn. So, yeah, tough loss, demoralizing for sure. Hate it for the Auburn fans that went out there. A lot of times – some people who only may get to go to one game a year, it's usually those cupcake games that that cost that are pretty cheap, and hate it for those fans to have to witness that.
But before we move on, I just want to say this season, it's going like the record's going how I expected it, but the teams that we're beating and the teams we're losing to is not going how I expected. It's been a really weird season. Like I didn't even expect us to be bowl eligible.
For you to put up such a fight against Georgia and then to go and lose to New Mexico State near the end of the season, it is really odd for sure.
And we destroyed Arkansas and Arkansas
that's the thing. It looked like Auburn was rolling and could gain some momentum going to the Iron Bowl, and then this happened. And I don't know if they were looking forward to it and just didn't put this in the front of their minds, but I don't know. On the other side of the state, Bama named their score against Chattanooga. Not much to say about that. Jalen Milroe had a good game. Burton had a good game. I mean, 66-10.
Buckner pissed them off. He is. Did you see? They pulled in that third string Dylan Longfur. I was like
Dylan Lonergan. Yeah. Tyler Buckner. I said it after USF. He will never take another snap at Alabama.
He might as well.
Saban's already told him he's gone. Go ahead and go to Toledo or something,
He might as well go home.
I will say I did cheer for y'all. When that dude got his start and he runs all the way down the field and guess what seemed like a touchdown. Y'all should have heard the breath being taken out of that stadium when they found out that he dropped it at the 1
I kind of thought Chattanooga was going to put up a little bit more of a fight. I mean, they're a pretty good team this year. They're 7-3 entering.
I mean, yeah, in FCS, they're leading their division. I think the Southern Division is what they call it. But yeah, nothing really more to talk about with that one. Alabama goes on to play the Iron Bowl next week. Should be a good game simply because it's the Iron Bowl and it's at Jordan-Hare. I mean, you look at 2021. Auburn was not given any chance whatsoever to win that game. It was Brian Harson's first year. And then Auburn's leading it going into the fourth quarter. Alabama has to go to quadruple overtime to win it. Anything can happen in the Iron Bowl, 100%. Do we just want to go down the list, talk about each one of these games?
Let's go down the list. Let's start with Louisville at Miami. Miami kind of put up a fight, 38-31. Louisville wins. Louisville looks good, though. I'm going to tell you. They might be but them and Missouri are the two best two-loss teams in the country.
Yeah, and to talk about it's going to be Louisville.
Is Louisville a one-loss team?
Louisville's one loss. They lost to Pitt. And now here's the thing, and we don't have this game on the list. UNA and FSU. One of the biggest stories, if not the biggest story of the weekend. Jordan Travis going down. I don't know if y'all watched it. I saw it as it happened.
I saw it.
What happened? I didn't get to see it.
He was rushing, scrambling, and got tackled and just snapped his leg. It was, they didn't want to show the replay really at all because it was horrific. He is
like a Tyrone Prothro type injury.
It's something he will.
So bad.
I don't think it's something that will take him out of football for the rest of his life for sure. But I mean, he's not playing again in college whatsoever, and you hate it for the guy because I'm going to sound like an old dude. You hate it for the young man. When you listen to him talk, he is just very respectful, very nice. Like, just seems like a really good person, someone you want on your team for sure. And he grew up a FSU fan, big Florida State guy. His dream was to be the quarterback, and for it to end that way against North Alabama of all teams, who's
And
3-7 in
good.
FCS.
And they were whooping their butts at one point.
Yeah.
It was 13-0 in like second quarter.
Jordan Travis plays basketball too, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't.
I think you're thinking of Jake Coker. He played basketball at FSU.
No, it might be one of their wide receivers or something.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. Even if they go undefeated and beat Louisville, but I think they barely beat Louisville. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
I don't think they can.
I don't think they can beat both Florida and Louisville with a backup quarterback.
I just don't see the committee. If there is going to be a no-loss team, undefeated team getting left out, it'll be Florida State now.
We were already talking about that happening prior to him getting injured. Yeah. And now with their backup quarterback, here's the thing. If the top 4 teams remain the top 4 going into the playoffs, you'd have Georgia playing Florida State. Georgia blows out Florida State with Jordan Travis.
With
it's going to get really interesting watching the rankings on Tuesday for sure, because I think Washington has to jump them out.
I don't think they can. I think they can beat Florida, but I think Louisville is going to beat the dog.
Yeah. But back to Louisville. Go ahead, John.
Louisville, their next game is at Kentucky. Florida State is at Florida. I don't think that Louisville loses to Kentucky, but now that Travis is gone, do y'all think they lose to Florida?
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility whatsoever. I think the spread is going to be in Florida State's favor, but not by much. I mean, you have Florida in a last-ditch effort to make a bowl game. It's a rivalry game. It's at the Swamp. Last game at the Swamp. Fans are going to be going wild.
This game against Missouri, blowing it.
I think that it might come down to like a 4 or 5 point spread after this with a backup quarterback who is good, but that's a lot of weight to put on a backup quarterback's shoulders at this point in the season for sure.
No, I agree. Well, let's talk about Michigan at Maryland. I actually watched that game a good bit. Michigan does not look invincible like they have been showing all year.
J.J. McCarthy struggled in this game. He really did, and it was. You saw Sharon Moore kind of going for some more pass plays, and JJ, he wasn't up for it. And I have serious doubts now going into this Michigan-Ohio State game this Saturday if Sharon Moore is able – if he can take it all in and play and play call correctly against a really, really good Ohio State team who also isn't looking fantastic. But, this is too big a task for Sharon Moore, I think, going into this game. Michigan ain't looking too great.
They're obviously feeling Harbaugh not being there, and they're playing at Ohio State next week. I think that Ohio State's going to take that.
And I'm going to say this, let
me ask you this. Real quick. This is kind of, it's not really the topic of the podcast, but if Ohio State wins, how far does Michigan fall? Do they fall behind y'all?
Depends on how bad. I think they would have to. I think this game, this is a playoff game. This is a fight for the playoffs. I don't think it'll be like last year where the loser still gets in. And I think that's only because of how many other teams still only have one loss or are undefeated right now.
You remember, it was the fight between Ohio State and a 2-loss Alabama. So, it was only one loss, and that one loss was Ohio State.
Man, I hate that this whole thing with Michigan's popped up because Ohio State being ranked what they are, and Michigan being ranked what they are, that is such a good game. But I feel like Ohio State's just going to dominate them the whole time now.
It's going to be tough because, the Big House, man, they get loud. And with it being a daytime game, that's the only place I can see
the Big House is the Big House is Michigan, right?
Michigan, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Might be a snow game. There's supposed to be some snow coming this way up here.
I want to say a year or two ago they had with Aiden Hutchinson. It was a snow game.
Yeah, last game at the Big House was a snow game.
It was a great
excuse
game.
me, guys. I messed up. I thought that they were playing at Ohio State. That's what I was. No, I messed up. They're playing.
No, yeah, it's at Michigan this year. Yeah, because they went into Ohio State and beat them last year.
No, yeah. But let's skip this
Oklahoma.
Let's skip this Oklahoma BYU.
Not much to talk about there.
Let's get into this blowout. This team has been unbelievable this year. Utah at Arizona. Arizona 42-17. What about them Wildcats?
What a Jed Fish, their head coach. What a job by him. You rarely see Arizona or Arizona State mentioned at all in college football. You rarely see them ranked. They're never really great. But this Arizona team is scary.
How did they lose to Mississippi State? Still do not know how they lost to Mississippi State.
I don't know. Early in the season, going into SEC country, they still had Will Rogers, I guess. I don't know. But Utah has fallen off big time. This is a team that's looked really good at times and a team that's looked really bad at times. They got spanked by Arizona, and credit to the Wildcats. This is a good team.
No, I feel like Utah fell into the same field as Colorado, and I'm not saying they're as bad as Colorado. Hear me out. Utah was the first game of the season. It was against Florida. They blew out Florida. Everybody thought Florida was going to be a good team. Like, oh my gosh, and is Utah going to do it this year? They did it with their backup quarterback. Is Utah going to do it? And ever since then, it's just been going down.
No,
yeah, when
they all got those new Dodge Rams, and that's what they're focused on.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I remember, when they said that Cam Rising wasn't going to play at all this season. I was like, I don't know about Utah. But then they looked good like the game after that. So I don't know with Utah, but Arizona. I can see them maybe vying for a spot in like a New Year's Six game. If they keep it up, they'd have to win.
If you had like Notre Dame lose another one. It could fall that way. Yeah, you're right.
Another blowout.
They might just be good. They might just be good. We might not just be giving them credit. Georgia 38, Tennessee 10. Georgia just might be good. I'm going to be honest. He is by far, to me, the best Georgia quarterback they've had since Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, without a doubt. And then Brock Bowers coming back. That's definitely helping too.
And I don't understand the Joe Milton hype. Yes, I've never hyped up Joe Milton. I was saying if this game, if there was a game to lose, this will be the one for Georgia. But Joe Milton, he couldn't start at Michigan. He couldn't start last year over a 25-year-old Hendon Hooker. And I'm not saying Hendon Hooker was bad. Hendon Hooker was great last year. But he couldn't start 2 times. What makes you think he's going to be the stud this year?
No, they have that other dude coming in, Nico Iamaleava, or I think it's some Hawaiian dude, and he's going to be really good. But for Josh Heupel to just go from the season he had, where they were number 1 in the first college football playoff rankings last year, to now, what are they sitting at? 4 losses now?
7-4.
7-4. This is a disappointment for sure. And Joe Milton, when you watch him play, him against Georgia, they were Carson Beck in particular. He was a man amongst boys in that game. Georgia could not be stopped. Really, nobody can stop them because they're number 1 in the country on third downs. And it's going to be really tough for Alabama in the SEC championship if our defense does not tighten up on third down. I hope that's something that Nick Saban really emphasizes on in practice prior to that game. But back to this game, Tennessee just couldn't get anything going. They go out, they score a huge run, first play of the game.
Yeah. And
it reminded me so much of the Florida game that Florida played against Georgia. Score early and then enjoy it while you got it, because Georgia goes on a tear after that.
I saw it. I know next year we play Georgia. Alabama does. I feel like these two
finally
they should play every year in the regular season. They don't want to play nobody. It's never not Bama. It's Georgia.
You got to give them credit though. This schedule has been their hardest one since they've gotten good.
Only this stretch of 3 ranked teams.
Ole Miss, Missouri, Tennessee. Now, granted, two of those teams were in Athens, which is disappointing, and that's why I gave Tennessee credit because Tennessee's a hard place to play when they're hyped. It is, but I mean,
I only give them one credit win, and that's Missouri. I think Ole Miss, and I've been saying this, I think they're so overrated. This is not a Lane Kiffin offense all year. I think Missouri is the third best team in the SEC. I think that's a good quality win. I think Bama's only good qualities wins is, I'll be honest, LSU, not really. I mean, they lost 3 games.
Tennessee, LSU, Tennessee. I mean, at least y'all played ranked teams, though. You know?
With the way that that our ranked opponents have played after we have played them,
Ole Miss is the only one, but Ole Miss had an easy stretch after.
Yeah, we have not had some luck with our opponents playing good after they play Alabama, and maybe you could sit there and say, well, they just never recover after playing Alabama. You know, maybe you could look at it that way. I don't know, but Georgia. I mean, they're playing like the number 1 team in the country, and I don't really think it's very close.
Oh, I agree. Let's move to this next game. Question: is Clemson back?
If we had an episode,
North Carolina 20.
If we had an episode, a predictions episode, this was going to be my upset pick of the week because Clemson is hot, and Tyler from Spartanburg must have gotten something going for them. I knew this was a trap game for North Carolina, and Clemson goes out there and kind of dominates.
I think a lot of it's credited to that phone call Dabo had, honestly. I think that made him mad, and he's showing him who he is. And just in time for him to take the Texas A&M job, so good for him.
They have him as the number 2 pick or the second quarterback after Caleb Williams. He didn't look that good. He didn't look that good at all. I think it's about time the old Mac Brown, he hangs it up.
He needs to hang it up,
good.
Before his legacy is kind of just thrown in the back burner.
He hangs it up for good and then hands it over to his defense coordinator. One last try, baby. Give it to Chizik. Give it to Gene.
Bring him back.
Bring him back. Hey.
Well, speaking of Caleb Williams, as you mentioned a minute ago, probably the last time he'll ever suit up for the Trojans, goes out in a loss. What a story. Comes out, Chip Kelly expected to be fired after the USC game.
They said no matter what, he's fired. He's fired no matter what.
And they dominate USC.
38-20.
This was not a game, and it was at USC. I knew this was going to happen. This was also going to be an upset pick for mine, and I'm not saying this, of course, hindsight is 20/20. But I just kind of sat there and figured, if I'm a coach, and I'm a coach of a team, and they're reporting that they're going to fire me either way, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show them that they're wrong. I'm going to go win the damn game.
The reason why I put this game on here, during the game, Dan Mullen, he bodied.
He did.
Are we sure that we have the right head coach on the hot seat in Los Angeles? I mean, think about it. What has Lincoln Riley done in the 2 seasons at USC? I mean, they're 7-4 this year.
I was just about to say, you can't make the excuses you can make that you can with Auburn where we don't have a quarterback. You got Caleb Williams at quarterback, and you can't beat UCLA at home.
Let me tell you, though,
against a team who literally is going to fire their coach, like you said.
Does Dan Mullen not kind of fit the mold of a UCLA or USC? I can see him as coaching one of those teams. And I mean, get him in the Big Ten, not the SEC. Come on now.
I think he's a little SEC school. I think that TikTok video, I think Dan Mullen to like a Mississippi State, an Arkansas, South Carolina, a small SEC school, I think is perfect.
I'm with John. I think that fits him a lot more. But also, I think you said this one time, Sam, that he may just enjoy doing the broadcasting stuff.
No, I think he does.
I like him as the broadcaster. I do. Yeah. I like him.
I wish James Chizik still did broadcasting, but shit. Yeah.
He did it with did he do it with ACC Network?
SEC, I think.
He was on SEC Network.
Yeah, I'm wrong then.
He did like the post game stuff.
We talked about Auburn. How about we talk about
this game? I know this made y'all so mad. I know because my sister was keeping up with it. She was upset with Oregon State, dude.
That was choke job. Choke job.
Total choke job. I mean, and it comes down to that last drive from Oregon State. I mean, you get the ball. I think it was like 7 minutes or so left, and you're driving, you're doing good. And this was Oregon State all night long. Whenever they would score, it was little nickel and diamond down the field, taking your time. Okay, you're scoring, but they had a total lack of explosive plays on offense. This is not a fantastic Washington defense. Have they been playing well? Yes, but they're not fantastic. For them to only score 20 on them, it was a disappointment. I get the weather was bad, but that should have played into Oregon State's hands more than Washington's. This was just Oregon State did not get the job done. They choked. They had the pressure on them. They were favored. It did not go the right way, and they lose. And now,
in the same breath of that, Sam, Washington's kind of getting exposed right now.
I think, to be honest, I think you got to start giving Washington some credit.
I agree. I mean, I kind of think
they're finding ways to win.
Team in the top four, even Florida, maybe not Florida State because they don't have their quarterback.
They should jump Florida State. I think they should jump them this week in the rankings, especially after losing to North Alabama
because of that. But before this week, if they would have played any team in the top four, they're a first round exit.
I don't know. I think they would put up a fight against a Michigan or an Ohio State.
I think they're going to put up a fight against Oregon, but I think Oregon, watching them this weekend, Bo Nix,
he's probably going to be your Heisman.
He's probably the Heisman, and he might deserve it. I don't know, him or Daniels. Daniels went off this weekend though. That almost was an upset. The score don't show it.
Yeah, Georgia State had them there for a minute.
Yeah, for a minute there, it was like 21-8. 21-14 in the third quarter. That was almost an upset.
Did you end up watching that game, JR?
I did. I watched a little bit of it. I was flipping between that and this next game, and I don't even have it because I got to put on here. Florida 31, Missouri 33. This Missouri team's good.
They are. They survived a big scare from Florida. Florida is. I've been saying it. They're going to give their last ditch effort. They are trying to get a bowl game. They do not want to go less than. They don't want to go 5-7 here.
In year two,
they put up in year two of Billy Napier because they got a top recruiting class and guys are already deciding otherwise.
Well, I'm telling you, if they lose out these next two games, I watched Josh Pate and he said. People have been asking him, is Florida on the hot seat right now? And he's saying if they start losing these two games and they lose that top 10 recruiting class, he gone. He's not surviving. But Missouri's good. I think Eli Rinkowitz, he was the hottest coach on the hot seat this year. He's gave himself another year or two, easily.
He might have some other suitors start going after him after this season.
I was just about to say that. I could see him going to a bigger name SEC school because of what he's done in Missouri. I mean, they can't recruit well in Missouri. Let's be honest. They're not Auburn. They're not Alabama. They're not Texas A&M.
I tell you, though, it may be perfect for him. I mean, I've always said with some coaches, like if you're doing well at a middle-tier school like a Dan Mullen out of Mississippi State, an Eli Drinkwitz at a Missouri where the expectation is being exceeded every year by you, why go somewhere else? Unless you're just chasing the bag, stay where you're being praised every year, you know?
I agree. Let's get into this last game before we get on our next subject. And it was a close game, and then they choked it away, too, with that block kick and all that. Texas and Iowa State. Texas 26-16. We got to have Texas to lose in order for Bama. I mean, the only way we can jump Texas if we beat Georgia, and we beat Georgia by a hand, like a good hand.
This was even more of a disappointment than Oregon State not beating Washington because Texas, I mean, if they lose another game, they're out because they already have one loss.
Yeah.
And it's just these top 8 teams, Alabama included, they just don't want to lose a game. I mean, it's getting kind of boring, not even just as an Alabama fan who needs it to happen, but, I mean, just as a college football fan we have not had an upset like all season, aside from Texas upsetting Alabama, Oklahoma upsetting Texas, and I guess Washington and Oregon, maybe. I mean, there has not been really any big time upsets all season long. There's been no shakeup in the top 8.
This is turning into be and I'm not saying this because it's this year, but it's turning into be probably the most chaotic playoff ranking since playoffs ever been invented, in my opinion.
Yeah.
At least it's that
We've been
first year
saying
when
this.
when TCU got jumped. Maybe that first year.
Yeah, but we've been saying this all season that this has been the most interesting year of college football because you can't look and you still maybe Georgia now, but if y'all beat them, it'll say otherwise. Like you can't look at hardly any team and be like, yeah, they're going to win the national championship.
I'm just telling you,
years
if Bama beats Georgia, they have to be a lock. You have to either give it the two locks. At what I've seen is if Bama beats Georgia and they give it to Bama, then you got to give it to Texas because they beat Bama. And then you got to give it to the winner of Ohio State, Michigan. That's the three. That's three right there. And you're going to have an undefeated team out. I'm telling you.
It'll have to be Florida State.
It'd have to be Florida State.
Florida State, dude, I don't know. I don't like their odds against Louisville.
And then really that fourth spot's going to be the winner of the Washington-Oregon game. You see what I'm saying? They're not going to leave Texas out. If Texas wins the Big 12 and they beat Bama, there's no way they're going to leave them out. There's no way.
Hey, wait. Who's playing in the Big Ten? Is it?
It's going to be the winner of Ohio State, Michigan versus I think Iowa.
Okay. So they still have divisions in the Big Ten. I know a lot of conferences have done away with them. I can never remember. I think that the Pac-12
Big 12 did it for a little bit, or it was the Pac-12. It was the Pac-12. I think the Big 12 did it a little bit, but something happened. Somebody got left out, and then they brought it back for that reason.
You gotta have it, dude.
Like, you gotta have it. No, I
agree. Makes more sense.
Well, you know what? Let's get into our subject, and I've been wanting to talk about this. It's in that time now. We had 2 head coaches in the SEC fired. We've already talked about that. Let's talk about how hot are the hot seats for these coaches. So we'll go down the list of schools. Alabama, Nick Saban. So I'll skip that.
Why did you even put that on there?
I'm hearing some talk. I mean, hey, if they don't win another national championship, they might have them boosters.
Get them gone. Get them gone. Give me Deion Sanders at Alabama. I want Deion.
Them boosters ain't going to want him.
All right, there's 3 coaches that, in my opinion, should not be on here. That's Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, and Hugh Freeze. Like they're not getting rid of those 3. They're not.
You mean? If Kirby wins a national championship and it ain't by 30 touchdowns, you got to get him out.
Well, we're going to get down the list, and I'll tell you why I think about Hugh Freeze. Next, Arkansas Sam Pittman. How hot is his seat right now? On a scale of
his seat is probably like. Are we going to do this on a scale of 1 to 10? Because I think that's
this red.
Let's do 1 to 10. Let's do 1 to 10.
1 to 10. It's a 10. He's not coming back. He's a
9.5 at a minimum. That man is gone.
He's gone. Yeah. He's done. Now Auburn, Hugh Freeze.
Why did you put that on there? There's no reality where he gets fired.
No, I'm not saying a lot of these coaches are not going to get fired this year. But I'm telling you, you think Hugh Freeze is a 1 out of 10. You think he's a 1. I'm going to give him a 2. Let me tell you why. It could turn worse. If he just got his ass whooped by New Mexico State. If he gets it handed to him by Alabama in year 1, what's going to happen? I swear, I've always said this. If Brian Harston would have beat Alabama year 1, he'd still be here.
I disagree.
I'm telling you, if he would have beat Alabama year 1, he'd be here. Y'all would have upset us.
The boosters call the shots at Auburn. Everybody knows that. The boosters did not like Brian Harston. They did everything.
Because he lost to Bama. You got to beat Bama. Same way at Bama. You got to beat Auburn. Look at Bill Curry. He couldn't beat Auburn. He went 10-2 each season. 1 loss to Auburn. He got knocked out.
He lost Auburn 3 times.
That's what I'm saying.
3. You don't. This is his first year of Hugh Freeze.
I'm not saying he's going to get fired this year, but I'm just saying his seat's not as cold if he loses.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, so you're saying the seat's just when you say hot seat, you're actually just saying like the seat's hot. You're saying
some questions will be raised.
Yes. Kind of like I'm saying it went from a 1 to like a 2. It might.
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna put Nick Saban at a 3.
I'm telling you, if he don't win like an 80,
Texas, man,
he's lost his touch. I mean,
you don't see what I'm saying. I'm saying if Hugh Freeze loses,
I see what you're saying.
I'm saying he's not going to get fired this year. He's not going to get fired next year. He ain't going to get fired in year 3. But I'm telling you, it's going to raise some questions if it's an ugly loss. After losing to New Mexico State by 21, oh, heck yeah.
Okay, I think the New Mexico State hurts him more than if he gets blown out by Alabama, for sure. I'll put it at a 2, but it's a 2 right now. No matter what happens against Alabama, I don't think that's changing. He literally has nothing to use this year. Nothing.
I'm telling you.
Jarquez Hunter, other than that.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, though, if it's true that all he's been doing this year is preparing for Alabama and then he gets blown out by 30.
Where did you hear that at? That's what I want to know.
Someone's telling me. Dude, I have ears.
Who's telling you that?
All right, let's move down the list. This could talk. Bruce Pearl is not a good basketball coach. Nate Oates is a 10 times better basketball coach. Yes.
I cannot say my normal line on this podcast, and that's unfair to you just bring that up. All right.
Yeah, it's true. Next,
Billy Napier.
Florida Billy Napier, 1 out of 10. Give me a 5.
I'll go a 6, maybe 6.5 on Billy. Questions are being raised in Gainesville 100%. They like him. They think he can do well, but it's like, okay, if not now, when? We're in year 2. We're late in year 2. We're starting to lose the recruits that we had. They got the number 2 quarterback in the country right now, number 2 commit. If they lose him, then that shatters that recruiting class.
Oh yeah.
And
if he loses that top 10 recruiting, come back to me and I'll give you a 7.
They have to pull something out of their butt against FSU. I still don't think that he's done. I don't think he's gone if they lose to FSU, but the seat will go from a 6 to an 8, and he could be fired in the middle of the season if he don't win.
I see what you're saying. He'd be on an Eli Drinkowitz kind of level. He'd be really hot, really hot.
There's 4 schools in the SEC opinion where they expect tier 1 category performances, right? That's Alabama, LSU. I'm gonna put Auburn in there. I think y'all will agree with that. John shaking his head.
I would have to say tier 2. I mean,
I would say
7 and 5, 8 and 4.
You're forgetting Tennessee, and you're forgetting Tennessee. You're forgetting Texas A&M.
I'm not saying their quality level. I'm saying what people expect. People expect.
Nobody expects to lose.
Auburn. Hang on. Wait a minute. If you're telling me Auburn and Tennessee are up for head coaching jobs, if a coach gets offered the same amount of money for both. Same amount of years, same amount of money, same benefits for both teams. Which one's he going to choose?
Tennessee.
Oh.
Why would you? You just said the boosters run Auburn. Why would you go to Auburn?
Take that out of account.
Okay, let me. But back to what you're saying about expectation.
What?
Go ahead.
No, what were you
saying? Back to what you were saying about expectation. Are you really saying that most Auburn fans are like expecting to compete for a SEC championship every year?
Yes.
Because I don't think so. I think many are.
I don't think so.
Yes.
I mean, my dad's happy with an 8-4 season. And he's a huge Auburn fan.
Think of it as a win when y'all beat Purdue in the Cheez-It Bowl. By like 30 that
we
win.
We smoked them in the Cheez-It Bowl.
You still talking about it. You still talking
about it. Here's what I would say. The top. All right, there's a difference. And we meant to talk about Josh Payton. Josh Payton, before I talked about the difference between program and job, right? Tennessee, I can agree. I actually do think that a coach, if offered the same amount of money, might go to Auburn over Tennessee. But it's not by much, right? Because I think it's a better job, but Tennessee probably historically is a better program, right? More national championships, more SEC championships. Top jobs in the SEC. Top 5 jobs.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. And before you say yours, my top 4 jobs in the SEC: Alabama, LSU, Auburn, and Florida.
Are you taking into account Texas, Oklahoma?
Not right now, no.
Because I'm gonna say because when they move in,
Texas
Auburn moves. That's what
Auburn,
I mean.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to lie to you, John. I'm not going to lie to you. Alabama moves down because of Texas.
Well, yeah, Texas.
Alabama's below Texas A&M. Well, maybe not. But it ain't far. Texas A&M. You didn't have Texas A&M in your top 4. Texas A&M is a tier 1 job by far. By far.
Who's your top 5? Who's your top 5?
5 would be Florida. 4 is Georgia. 3 is Texas A&M. 2 is Texas. 1 is Alabama. And that's only because Alabama's been at the top of the sport for 100 years, right? Texas A&M and Texas got the money.
Let's take out the newbies. I'm talking traditional SEC.
All right, then I would go. I mean, in no particular order, I would go Alabama, Georgia, Florida,
Tennessee,
Texas A&M, and LSU. LSU. I mean, you look at what they did with Brian Kelly. They poached him from who?
That's what I'm saying.
A better program.
All right, so I had all those except A&M. I haven't put Georgia because if you take out the Kirby Smart era, Georgia really hasn't done anything.
I don't know. They loved them some Martin Rich now. They love them.
But I like Martin Rich, dude. I like him a lot.
You're thinking about what they've done in the past. You can't talk. That's the difference in the program and the job, right? Don't think about records. Don't think about championships. Think about the job and how much one you're going to get paid, what they give you to do the job. Texas A&M is at the top of the list. Alabama's at the top of the list. Georgia's at the top of the list, and then probably Florida. Auburn's up there.
I would put LSU probably over Florida, to be honest.
LSU,
they're probably pretty even. Yeah. Maybe LSU a shade above them. But this is a big conversation.
My point with all this. Florida's one of those colleges and programs that will get rid of you pretty quick if you're not doing great. And if they lose these recruits, like right now, his entire hot seat, in my opinion, is riding on this game next week. If he beats Florida State and they go to a bowl game, he's at a 5. If he loses, he's at like an 8, in my opinion.
Well, yeah,
no, I agree.
I mean, you're losing to your arch rival in the state. That's the easiest recruiting technique you could ever have.
Yeah,
especially in the state of Florida, where I mean, that's one of the top states for recruits. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Next we got Kirby. Let's just skip that one. This next one, I'm gonna tell you, I would not be shocked this year.
I wouldn't either.
Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Yes, Kentucky has been really bad at football, but man, guys, let me tell you, these last 2 or 3 years, they've had some teams that were supposed to be better than what they are.
I think he's a good recruiter. He's good at getting the team hyped up and playing good in the first half of the season, but it just seems like they don't win the games that they're supposed to win.
They can't
win on the road.
I'm telling you, 2 weeks ago when they won at Mississippi State, that's his only road win at Kentucky.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Kentucky.
I don't understand that.
They're always going to be a basketball school.
That's the problem.
Can try. Football makes the money. It does.
Any other school,
it's a basketball school.
Any other school, he would have been fired.
Yeah,
I think he's got his numbers. His numbers are 7.
I like that. Well, I don't know.
I give it a 6.
Yeah.
Kentucky. Who else are you going to find? That's how I look. I think he leaves before he gets fired.
I mean, just talk about like the top tier jobs, right, and expectations. Like Kentucky is at the top of the list in basketball in the SEC, but in football, they're near the bottom, if not at the bottom, in front of Vandy in South Carolina, maybe. But I mean, he's been there for 10 years now. He hasn't competed for an SEC championship. He's had some good teams. He's done okay. He's done well for Kentucky, right? But I mean, you hadn't beaten Georgia. You beat Tennessee a few times, maybe 2. Took you 10 years to beat Florida.
On the road, he can't win. I mean, I don't understand how he's been in this job for this long and not win on the road. I don't understand. Yeah. Well, next one, Brian Kelly. I think I'm not going to say he's going to get. He's kind of like Hugh Freeze. I'm not saying he's going to get fired in the next 2 years. Contract's too big, but I think it hurt him not being good this year, and they were supposed to be like really good, like unstoppable.
You know
after beating Bama last year.
He kind of shot himself in the foot beating Alabama in his first year. I agree. Because that set the precedent, okay, now you got to be better your second year, right? And it didn't happen. This reminds me a lot of the Jimbo Fisher thing. I feel like he's going to be there a few years, He may not. I don't know. It depends on his recruiting. It's still too early in his time at LSU.
I give it a 3. I give it a 2. I give it a 2. But LSU fans are like Alabama fans. Auburn. Once their coach starts losing, they fired Coach O, who they loved 2 years prior before the fire.
Yeah, won him a national championship.
I think a 2 or a 3.
But I like that.
I think it could get hotter eventually.
Here's an interesting one. Interesting one right here.
Who?
Because I think Lane Kiffin. Oh, excuse me. Not Lane Kiffin. Eli Drinkwitz. Not so interested. We'll get to Lane here in a minute. Eli, I mean, he was at a 9.
He was at a 9. I think he pushed it back down to about like a 5. 4 or 5.
No, I think he's way down there. He's down to a 2. They ain't firing his ass anytime soon.
Y'all are not understanding the ranking. What I'm saying is, he is not a 1. 1 is Nick Saban level. I'm just saying, he maybe bought him a year or 2. If he don't produce, especially next year, then yeah. I mean, he has a senior quarterback. If he can get someone at quarterback next year, then yeah, they'll have a good season. If not, they'll win 7 games like they always do. I'm just saying.
We should have specified like the whole. I thought you meant like chance to getting fired like.
Yeah, that's
this
what
year.
I thought.
No,
this year or next year.
I meant like 1 out of 10. Like how just. See, I think his seat's not hot, but I also don't think it's like freezing cold. I give it like a 4 out of 10.
I think it's on like low to medium right now. I don't think that his seat's that.
It depends heavily on next season for sure. I mean, if he's got playmakers right now, and it depends on, how he can recruit. John mentioned it earlier. It's tough to recruit at a place like Missouri, and also the expectation at Missouri is pretty low, if not very low. So I'd put him at a 2 right now. I mean, not much to talk about with him. But Lane, I think there's more of a chance that Lane leaves rather than gets fired anytime soon.
No, I agree.
I really do. I would put Lane in a hot seat if we're really talking about it. Maybe a 3, because Ole Miss fans won an SEC championship. They had never gotten that, I mean, he can't seem to win the big game ever. You beat a LSU. That seemed like a huge win, but now looking back at it, LSU really ain't nothing. He got destroyed by Georgia. I mean, he knows he's got to recruit better. He said it after the Georgia game, but that's also a tough place to recruit. They don't have the money.
No, I agree. I mean, I want to say last year was the first year ever in Ole Miss history that they won 10 wins.
I think it was.
It's a low they've won 10. They've won 10 wins before, back in 1961 or whatever it was.
How do you know that off the top of your head?
Me?
Yeah.
Because I'm smart, baby. I know my shit. I know my stuff. I didn't say that. I'm a historian. I really do know my stuff.
Who was their coach?
Coach Vaught. Johnny Vaught.
This is the first 10-win season.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
It's Johnny Vaught, who the stadium is named after.
Well,
we got
yeah.
Where did we go with this?
So let's give a quick prediction. Since we skipped Mississippi State, there's no one there, of course. Quick round off. I think Jamie Chadwell. Sam, who do you think? We're going to do it until we hear more stuff.
Oh, I mean, after his tweet fiasco, I can definitely see Jamie Chadwell. I guess who. I still think Bill Clark is sitting out there somewhere waiting for a phone call, but I don't know if they'll go after him. I think Chadwell's probably the guy for it.
You got
same. I mean, the tweet kind of ruined it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's something you got to learn. I mean, come on now, let's see, 10-win season 1955.
So it wasn't 61.
Won the Cotton Bowl. And then, so it was the 50s, 1955, but I was close.
God, you're so stupid. All right, next school, South Carolina.
No, they did go 10-0, 1962.
Well, you said
Off
61,
by a year.
so that's still.
I was off by a year.
South Carolina.
He gone.
I don't know. With the upset against Kentucky at Kentucky?
It's Kentucky. We just talked about the disappointment from Kentucky. You have to get him out of the.
6 and
You
3.
can't.
I'm telling you, Shane Beamer, give me a 6. I would not be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't get fired, but I also wouldn't be shocked if he did get fired. Give me a 6 for Shane Beamer.
Give me a
He's
eight.
at 8 to me. I think. I mean, he's consistently underperformed. He only had a. If he didn't have the great stretch at the end of the season last year, beating Tennessee, beating Clemson, I think he's gone already.
See, I think it goes back to what you said, the expectations and all. What does South Carolina fans
Eating
expect to do?
Oreos right now.
Oreo thins.
I knew it.
He's on a diet. Like that person that eats like 3 cheeseburgers at McDonald's and a Diet Coke.
No, have y'all seen the Family Guy thing? Oh, I'll get the fish.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, South
Oh,
Carolina.
family.
I don't know. Tennessee, I'm so lost. Josh Heupel. I feel like Tennessee fans are very needy. They're like Auburn fans. They're very needy. Or I'd give him a 3.
I kind of like the 4.
I think he leaves. I think he leaves before. I think personally he'll go to Oklahoma eventually.
No, I think this season kind of ruined him from getting poached by a bigger school. I really do.
If you're Oklahoma, well, who would you rather have? Your quarterback that finished second in the Heisman race, that played for you, or would you have Brent Venables?
I think Venables is doing good for year 2. I mean,
I'm not.
you beat Texas in year 2.
I'm not a Venables fan. And look at Heupel. You beat Alabama in year 2. I would get Heupel.
Barely. It took 1,000 penalties at home. Yeah, don't mean I can't be salty about it.
Auburn basketball is the most overrated sport in the United States of America.
Hey, we need to talk about another coach. How are you feeling about our guy, Kane?
Kane ain't gonna get fired. Kane ain't. He's referring
He's
to
meeting the standard for South
He's referring
Alabama.
to South Alabama guys. And by the way, we're going bowling.
Vandy, Clark Lee. Who knows? I mean, it's Vandy.
It's a 5. It's a 5. You know, it could go either way.
It's kind of like Syracuse. You know, they fired that coach today, and it's like, oh wow, I guess they wasn't happy. like you just don't know. You don't know they're fired until it pops up at the bottom of ESPN. You're like, oh, look at that.
Oh, good for them. Their baseball team's going to go to the World Series next year.
Then you also got Texas A&M. Who's our prediction for Texas A&M?
Latest update in the coaching search. So apparently, rumor is they have contacted. He turned it down. He don't want to do it. It was more kind of like a filler. Dan Campbell with the Detroit Lions played tight in there. He said he loves his school, but he'll do anything for them but coach for them. Rumor is, though, they did interview UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor. And
yeah, he after their game this past Saturday, they interviewed him. Said, "Hey, it was kind of rumored that you interviewed for Texas A&M's head coaching job." The guy basically goes, "Did you interview?" Traylor sits there and he goes, "It's a dang shame. We got some odd seniors." Just played their last game. I'm like, yeah, he interviewed. He did it.
All right, Lincoln Riley, calm down.
Yeah, literally, that's what it was. No,
I'd go. Mike Elko. Boom.
I like that. I like Mike Elko. I mean, he was former DC under him.
Why spend all this money? Like, I know you got it, but you don't have to use it. Like, I don't know.
I think Dabo. I'm still calling.
Dabo's up there for me after that recent press office.
That literally is what Lane Kiffin said, like verbatim. Well, not Lane Kiffin.
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. Sam, who do you think?
Yeah. I thought that they might give a call to Cliff Kingsbury, but I don't think so. That the way that USC's – he's just an analyst at USC, but –
I want to do 2 more schools, not in the SEC. How hot is Jim Harbaugh's seat right now?
10.
They look. I've noticed up here they got his back.
They're
They
not
really
gonna
got
fire
his
him.
back.
They're not going to fire him.
But I mean, in terms of like maybe hammer
Suspended
from the NCAA or maybe him resigning, I would put it maybe at a 4. I can kind of see him maybe just saying, "I can't do this anymore," and he goes back to the NFL. I don't
give it
know.
a 5. I give it a 5.
And then
I give it an 8. I gave it an 8. I don't
My
think he
second
does
one,
that.
and I think we've talked about him, Lincoln Riley. He's not going to get
Questions-
fired this year too, but
6.
I think it's a little high.
Here's the
I give it
thing.
a 4.
Here's the thing with USC. If you go and you watch some of the highlights of that game, nobody showed up.
No.
Nobody's going to USC games anymore. It's not the program that it was in 2005 and 2008, right? Like, nobody cares about USC football anymore over there in Los
They
Angeles.
don't.
So I don't think – I mean, if this was Lincoln Riley and he had taken over in 2012 or something, he'd be gone by now. Just what they did to Lane Kiffin. They would have fired him, on the tarmac like they did Lane Kiffin. But nobody cares about USC anymore.
I do think
so-
he will leave USC eventually. I don't think he'll get fired because, like you said, nobody cares. But I do think he'll leave once he gets to the Big Ten and starts getting his butt whooped a little bit more.
Yeah.
When he
We'll
got
see Buzz
when
play
he
some
got the
defenses.
job last year, I was actually shocked that they threw that much money at him and that he took it because, like Sam just said, nobody cares. And
I
why
mean,
would
he
you?
is-
You
I
got
mean,
the Dodgers over there. Why would you care?
I think he truly did do it to get away from the SEC and the Big Ten and all that. And now look, I mean, because I'll give him credit where credit's due. He's one of the greatest offensive minds I feel like there is. And I'll tell you another name in Texas A&M, a name to look out for. And I've seen a couple things on Twitter. Cliff Kingsbury.
That's who
Did I
Sam
not
said.
just mention Cliff Kingsbury?
I
That's
thought
who
you did.
Sam said.
I literally just mentioned Cliff Kingsbury.
I zoned out. Okay. Woo! Give me Jimbo Fisher to Texas A&M. I think they bring him back on a cheaper deal. They release somebody and then bring him back on a cheaper deal.
Well, I think that's I'm getting a call from my daddy. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. I gotta edit it. Because I'm back to work, boys. Back to reality here up in Michigan. I like
reality.
So it was a good episode. Everybody, be sure to follow us on Instagram. Like and subscribe here on YouTube. Add us on TikTok. Add us on Apple Podcasts. It's all down in the description. Everybody, we out.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody. Heads up, play. Heads up.
Heads up, play. Heads up, play. Heads up, play.